This is the third time I have tried to film this video. This is the third outfit. This is the third day. If I am not in frame, if the lighting doesn't work, if the audio malfunctions, I'm throwing myself out the window. Hello everybody, my name is Morgan and welcome back to Beaker Barnes. Today we are going to be talking about my favorite Wandavision theory that I have not seen get enough traction online. So I can't wait to share it with you. Spoiler alert warning for Wandavision episodes 1 through 6. If you don't want to be spoiled, if you haven't seen them, please click away or keep watching. Do what you want. I don't care. Feel free to come hang. But this is your spoiler warning. You will have spoilers in this video for episodes 1 through 6. So let's jump into it. Right now, the big fan theory that I'm seeing for this show has been that through Wanda's hex powers and her new reality manipulating powers, she is going to introduce the X-Men into the MCU in some capacity. And I personally don't really like that theory, and I don't really prescribe to it. And I'm going to tell you why. And I'm gonna look at it from the business end, when we're looking at Marvel Studios as a business, and then also from the narrative end. And then finally, we're gonna talk about what I think Wanda's actually doing with her reality manipulating powers. So, to start things off strong, with the really boring stuff, the business, but I promise I'm gonna try to make it exciting. So, a couple months ago, Disney, the Walt Disney Company, had their big investors meeting where they shared all of their projects for about the next 10 years. And one of those projects included the future slate for Marvel Studios. And it included a bunch of new projects like the Fantastic Four, and She-Hulk, and Moon Knight, and the Fantastic Four, and the Fantastic Four, and the Fantastic Four. Have I mentioned the Fantastic Four are coming? Because the Fantastic Four are coming. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. But I digress. Since they shared all of the information about who is coming and the future slate, including the Fantastic Four, which was a project and characters that were previously owned by Fox Studios, I would think that they would have announced that they were going to bring in the X-Men at that meeting. After all, it is their shareholder, their investors meeting. It's a meeting designed to let the people that have money in the Walt Disney Company, to let them know what projects are coming and that they should keep investing in the Disney company. So if I was Kevin Feige, which I would love to be Kevin Feige, but I am not Kevin Feige, but if I was, I would say outright, we are bringing the mutants. We are bringing in one of our biggest comic teams into the biggest franchise in the world. Please keep giving us your money. And the fact that they didn't, I think, is really, really poignant. In addition to that, Marvel usually likes to let us know when they are casting a project. We knew months in advance that Agatha Harkness was coming to WandaVision, that Billy and Tommy were coming, because we started seeing on trade websites casting calls that looked similar to the descriptions for these characters. Now, granted, there are some times when Marvel keeps casting announcements under wraps, like the casting of Oscar Isaac in Moon Knight. We had no idea that was coming until they announced it, but I think for something like the X-Men, they would have started to put out feelers fairly early on, and we would have started to see grumblings around Hollywood, around the industry, that the X-Men are coming. And so I think when we're just looking at those issues, there is not a lot of signs that point to the X-Men just yet. But if we also look at it from a narrative perspective, the MCU right now is expanding massively. We're going to space. We got the multiverse. We got the Fantastic Four. We're going to space. We got the multiverse. We've got characters coming in from all sorts of different places, and now every single project is including a crossover. It's not just a solo venture. And I think what the MCU has the potential of running into is an issue that Marvel Comics ran into a couple years ago, where everything needed to be a crossover. And I really don't want that for the future of the MCU. I think that would be really, really detrimental to the broader narrative on a whole. And I think they would be wise to not introduce the X-Men just yet for the sake of making their story way too broad. And also, if Wanda is going to create the X-Men in the MCU, I think that takes away from who the X-Men are. The X-Men on their core are a metaphor for racism and for race relations. They were created in the 1960s during the height of the American Civil Rights Movement, and that identity and the fact that they cannot change their mutantness is really important to who the X-Men are. And to have the X-Men be something that is created strips them of that metaphor and strips them of that power that makes them so unique and makes them such a powerful team. So if I don't think the X-Men are coming in both business-wise and narrative-wise, what is Wanda doing with her hex powers? Why can she change reality? Why has Darcy just said that the hex has changed Monica Rambeau's DNA? Well, in Marvel Comics, there is a difference between a mutant and a mutate. Now, you might be asking yourself, Morgan, why do you care? And if you're asking yourself that, I don't know why you stuck around this long, but hi, my name is Morgan. I talk about comics and movies here. Stick around, I guess? The other question you might be asking is, Morgan, what is the difference between a mutant and a mutate? Well, I'll tell you. A mutant, in traditional Marvel Comics sense, is somebody who is born with a genetic mutation. Usually it's the X gene. Sometimes there's the case of Billy and Tommy where I don't think they have the X gene. Could be wrong though. But usually it is a mutant born with the X gene, or a person born with the X gene, and that gives them mutant abilities that are inherent to their DNA, to their core. And sometimes that manifests later in life, sometimes you see it right from birth. But more often than not, a mutant needs to have the X gene. Now, a mutate is somebody like Spider-Man, where Spider-Man's genetic rewriting and his superpowers came after he was born and came from a genetic override. So he is a mutation, but he is not a mutant. He's what's known as a mutate. It's very convoluted, it's very, very stupid, but I think it's important when we're talking about WandaVision. Since Wanda has the ability to rewrite DNA, like with Monica Rambeau, Monica is hopefully what we're going to see as a mutate. She is somebody whose DNA has been rewritten after the fact. And there's a bunch of very, very famous mutates in Marvel Comics and in the MCU. Like I mentioned, Spider-Man is one of them. And remember when I mentioned that investors meeting? Well, actually previously announced, but then confirmed even more so at the investors meeting, was the Miss Marvel series. And that, her series was confirmed at San Diego Comic-Con, I think, or maybe it was D23, one of those big conventions. But at this investors meeting, we got an actual trailer for Miss Marvel. So Miss Marvel is supposedly coming out sometime later this year in 2021. I think it's currently slated for fall 2021, but you know, the Backstreet Boys reunion tour, the world exists, that is all subject to change. But regardless, she is coming. Now, a brief history on Miss Marvel, aka Kamala Khan. Teenager Kamala Khan was just living her normal life. She's a huge fan of superheroes and just trying to navigate society as a second-generation Muslim American. However, one day while she's at a party, she gets captured and engulfed by the Terrigen Mist, and the Terrigen Mist grants her the powers of shape-shifting, so she can change her face to look like however she wants. She can make any part of her body bigger, stronger, longer, more flexible, do whatever she wants. And now she fights crime under the alias Miss Marvel, which is the former superhero name of Carol Danvers, and this was after Carol Danvers took on the name of Captain Marvel. But in the MCU proper, we really don't have a Terrigen Mist. And the Terrigen Mist comes from a superhero team known as the Inhumans, and for reasons, I don't think we are going to see the Inhumans anytime soon. But Kamala Khan also lives in Jersey City, which is a city in New Jersey just outside of Manhattan. And WandaVision takes place in Westview, New Jersey. And Westview, New Jersey is just about an hour away from Jersey City. And I think that's really important because we have seen the Hex expand. Wanda is stretching the boundaries of Westview, stretching the boundaries of her powers. And because Jersey City is so close, I think it's really important that they set WandaVision in New Jersey. The Scarlet Witch and Vision comics, the 1985 run that WandaVision is in part based off of, take place in a suburb outside of New York. And if you want to know more about the Scarlet Witch and Vision comics from 1985, I made a video about them right here. Feel free to go check it out. But that comic run takes place in suburbs outside of New York. And I think it's really interesting that the TV show doesn't, because so much of the MCU takes place in New York City and New York State. So why doesn't WandaVision? Unless WandaVision was trying to bring us in a brand new character. I think through Wanda's powers and through all of her hex shenanigans, we are going to get introduced to Miss Marvel, and Kamala Khan is going to get her superpowers. I don't think we're bringing in the X-Men. I think we're bringing in one of my favorite characters in comic book history, and I cannot wait to see if I'm true or right. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you guys have any other theories. Let me know what your top theories are in the comments down below. Like, who is the person in witness protection that Jimmy Woo was trying to find? Who is the aerospace engineer that Monica and Jimmy are trying to go find? Maybe it's Reed Richards? Maybe it's the Fantastic Four? I don't know. Who do you think Mephisto is? What do you think's up with Evan Peters' Pietro? Do you think he's some sort of connection to the X-Men? Maybe? I don't know. This show's got so many questions, so many unanswered aspects, and there's only 3 more episodes left. I cannot wait to see where it goes. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff, and I will see you next week with another video.